Today is day 110 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored once more by my friend Reb Daniel Kislin for the schus of Refuah Shlema for his father, Avram Zcharia ben Miriam. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be very much appreciated. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is Siman Ayin Sif Ches to Siman Ayin Beis Sif Dalet. Sif Ches. Rambam writes, a person was involved in eating or was in the bathhouse, so Osik P'tisporus is getting a haircut, or he's turning over hides in his tannery, Osik B'din, or is involved in a court case. Gomer, you can complete these things, and then read Shema. If you're afraid, Shema Yavor is my Kriya Shema, perhaps the time Kriya Shema will pass. But the upasak, the kara, and you interrupt and you read Shema, Hareis and Meshubach, this is praiseworthy. Ad kan l'shoiner. V'raiver kol lekolov, the Raiver argues on Zel l'shono. Lo kelim mafsik korei afal pishay shul sikro. No, it's not Meshubach. You must stop and read the Shema, even though you have still time. If nation meet the Raisa. The end shows, and we know that if there's no time, I feel midrabanan, even feel which is only the rabbanan, I'm seeking to interrupt ad kan l'shono. Achronim spend Farshim spent a long time explaining machlokas. The Arukh HaShulchan comes up and says they don't argue at all. The Rambam might be heter. Rambam said about where you started, where you're permitted to do so. Prior to the time is Zman Kriya Shema. Okay, so I was thinking Moshe Avor is Zman Kriya Shema. That's not interrupt unless the Zman Kriya Shema will pass. Private Meiri, the Rabbi said, but you started when you should not have started. After the Zman Kriya Shema already devolved. Therefore, you are required to interrupt. Bring evidence that this is the case. He speaks about is involved in eating. If you're going to say start eating after the time Kriya Shema arrived, how can he possibly begin to eat? It's wicked. He done it before davening. He must have started eating at night. And it came into the day. I always thought that if it comes in the day, you have to stop eating. But evidently, there is a tzad that you can continue eating since you started be'eter. Like chasnas, I guess they have long chasnas, like some people still have today, etc. But near Elisha Zelkavanas, the tool that comes in Peites is the intent of the tool. There it is. Ram writes, you don't have to interrupt your eating, continue eating. These Rambam. The Meforshim say that the tour has a wrong mahalch in the Rambam. And it's a wrong gears in the Rambam. The Lorim says Rambam El by Mincha, because only sign this by the Rambam in the Rambam by Mincha that if you start eating before Zman Mincha, you can continue. But the tour, it seems, has in mind these words here, right? They you're involved in eating before Zman Kriya Shema came. The Rambam thought Rambam's talking about where you started with, so that the and that's where he argued upon it. When truth they don't argue, has a primary understanding, as he says, Magav Ryan writes the same thing by him. The Mishnah Berurah says, in terms of malacha, he distinguishes between when you started be'eter to started be'isr. In terms of achila, he says that since in the Mechaber and Pei Tes Sifei, that the Mikra Din, you have to interrupt eating immediately when Amuda Shachar ensues, even if you're maskal beheter, which is the conventional way of understanding. There's no way to continue eating as long as you have not yet davened. And Biur Halacha says what is called hiskal beheter. If you started before Los HaShachar or a half an hour before Los HaShachar, but again the Dina Tzarech Iyun, that might work by malacha, but not by achila. Okay, again, according to the Arukh HaShulchan, there's a davar gadol here. It's a big thing, Kiddush Gadol, which is that If you start eating bad, so you continue eating after Amud Shachar. And the idea is then that, uh, with the idea we can continue along the lines of is that Isra Chila before davening is only Rabbanon, which Pashtus it is. So then, Savi Rabbanon you'd be able to rely on the Rambam, certainly B'Shas Adchak, to continue eating after Amud Shachar. We started Beheter. Ein Aleph. Avel v'oskim v'meis purim being mikri hashma. An avel and those who are involved with a person who died are exempt from Shema. Aleph. Kwasar Rabbeinu Beis Yosef. Yosef writes, Misha meis lo meis shu chayv l'sabel love somebody who had somebody die upon him who he was required to mourn for him. I feel ain't a mutar love the kavro, even if it's not incumbent upon him to bury this mace. Potem mikri hashma is exempt from Shema and from Shemon Esrei. If he wants to be machmir himself and to read Shema, and no rasha is not permitted. If there's somebody else involved in matters of the burial, because he wants to be more stringent on himself and to read the Shema, we do not arrest him from doing so. Because I am Rambam cryptically writes, look at your there. Klomar, the Shomni's bar, so there it's clarified. Shemochi biyado, osul achmir. We protest, we arrest you from doing whatever you're doing. You're now doing machmir. And the great achronim, Taz, Levush, Bach, and others came determined that way as well. Fabianos of Yerodea Shom Sif Yod, we explained in Yerodea. Vavina came to Yerushalmi, and brought this from Yerushalmi, came Marin Aloch Lamais, and this is the Aloch Lamais, the practical Aloch. You're there, Shom, these bar habedin ba'oinen ayin Shom. You're there, we explain, he says many halachas in Onen. Base, immediately when they start casting dirt on the dead body in the cemetery, you call Kriya Shema v'yispalel, you should read Shema and Ta'avin v'chein asa Maharil. That is what the Maharil did according to Maga Avraham Sivkat and Aleph. Mishra writes that if there's a Chabura in the city, a Chebra Kadisha, whose job is to take out the mace, maybe when they gave them the mace to the Chebra Kadisha, so those people who gave the mace to the Chebra Kadisha are chayiv in all the mitzvahs. But if they're not yet clear in what place they're going to bury him, so or as long as they're involved in eulogies, you remain part of Arukh HaShulchan. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. Arukh HaShulchan is until midday. But after midday, if it took that long, lo yisrael shouldn't daven anymore that day. Birchas HaShachar Tamid Patur. Birchas HaShachar remain exempt. Cayman Shabashashcha Basami Apotis, since at the time you would be liable to say them, you were exempt. Mishabur writes that this is specifically if you're Patur already from Alos HaShachar. But if the death occurred after Alos HaShachar, since there was a chiyuv which involved upon you before the Misa, then it could be you have to say Birchas HaShachar later that day. Back to Rosh Hashanah. Avon Birchas Torah Chayev. Birchas Torah you have to make an event. The tefillin leiniach b'yom rishon, you shouldn't put on tefillin on the first day of Avelus. Double us b'tefillin b'yom rishon, all of us not supposed to on tefillin on the first day of Avelus. Moshe Kosav Nusim and Ram Ches Siv Ches. B'sholosh brachos shlasani goy shlasani b'shlasani isha, which are not brachos which have to do with getting up in the morning, but praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for making us what we are made, or not making us what we're not made. Those you tzad gankin bar kol yom, you do the entire day. Ve'emar kaddish achar kvura. You should not say kaddish after kvura. V'yesh mishumar, some say the man of aviv yomar kaddish ban aninusa kodem kvura, that his son for his father can say kaddish only before the kvura. V'yesh michol mishacholik b'zeh. Those who argue on this, mishum the kvura mikol and kvura elamar kaddish alav, and before kvura you should not say any kaddish. There's an akuz akesef in Yerodea siman shinayin vav. Fine, which we'll do in due course. Yirtzeh Hashem. Mr. Burr writes that if there if the other people involved with the mace, you can go to the shul to say Kaddish, and specifically when there aren't other Avelim in the shul, because I guess they take precedence. Okay, that's really, that commitment today only applies in very rare places like Mangekis and Tells. Gimel. What is this talking about? Our weekday. Shabbos chayav kol yom ad ha'erev. On Shabbos you're chayav all mitzvahs until nightfall, even though the mace is not buried. and I guess night, not nightfall, towards evening. He's saying, but that's only if you're going to go out to the boundary of Chum Shabbos to be involved as soon as night falls. If you don't go there to wait until night falls, Chayav Gam Le'ezer, you're liable, you're mitzvahs until in the evening as well. Akal Sharabena says, see base. That's what base says. Near Borodochi Berusha. It seems clear this is understanding. If you're going there to stand at the edge of the Chum Shabbos, you're apart from all the mitzvahs, even though it's still daytime. And then you devolves upon it. If you don't not there for the night to fall upon you and leave immediately, you're required to keep on until nightfall. Not about Marav after Shabbos. The tummy potter you're exempt from that feel even if it's not yet dark, because that tefillah is shaykh to the weekday. And this is clear for the Beis Yosef in the Beis Yosef. I'm astounded that there are those who said that it's going also Marav. If it's not, if it didn't go to the Tchum. But for nightfall, Tzarech Lispal Arvis, yes, not Marvin. Nichul Kubazen, they had difficulty with this. Bachlim, again, Avraham and the Taz. Came before Shemad Divrei Torah, and that's how you explain the Torah. It's Miani. And I'm astounded with Tzarech Yom. The Yontav Sheni Dini Kochol. Yontav Sheni is like a weekday. Yontav Rishon Rotzah Kovar De Akum. If you're going to bury the base on Yontav Rishon by non-Jews, no hook, and Noheg Aninus, then there's Aninus also on Yontav. And if not, ain't Noheg Aninus. There is no ending of Yontav on the first day. Your day of Shem Rachlam your day explains it with at greater length. The Shabbat writes that if you cannot bury on Yontav Sheni for some reason, and nowadays we really don't do it anymore, but also on the night of Yontav, when it's not a derech to bury a person, there is no aninus at night or during the day on Yontav, as opposed to weekday where there would be aninus laila, and certainly aninus during the day, even they cannot bury him that day as long as he's not buried. Dalit, Hamashambas HaMace. Somebody who's safeguarding a mace, Af Alpishan a meso, even though it's not your dead body, it's not somebody you're related to or required to watch, Patu, you're exempt. If two people watching Zem Shamrim Zekori, one watches while the other reads and vice versa. So if somebody is digging a kever for a corpse is exempt. You digging, yoser or more. All those are necessary to dig it once. Between if there are added people there who are not necessary for the digging, they should go to the side and read Shema. And then these people who read Shema come back and get involved. And other people who now supervise go to the side and read. There's also explained on the other day further. Now let's do Shema within the 4 amos of the deceased, open basic forest, or in a cemetery in its entirety. Being lo yotza. Shema in a cemetery, you're not yotze. The consul chacham over at the Ibrahim. Chacham find you because you transgressed their directive. To the Yoshoki, you didn't know there's also say Shema in the basic forest. But that's only if you're within 4 amos of a kever. Chutz arba amos, you're within 4 more amos away from a kever, even though you're still basic forest. You're still in the cemetery. Even though it's preferred not to reach around that situation, you come nevertheless in Korah Sham. If you read there, ain't so because you don't go back and read again. I am Ashkar, you're there, Simon Shimon of Aleph, Sov Siv Chav Dalet. The Mishbur writes that if you go away from the kever, you can say Kaddish and other Divrei Kedusha. Mishbur also writes that says that if you're in a cemetery, the Ravid argues and holds you don't have to go back and Kriya Shema. Ladina, he says, in terms of Kriya Shema, the Achronim agree with the Rambam that you should go back and read. But if you did a made a bracha or a daven, which is a lesser severity, and also saw the bracha kula pops up, then you don't go back and read again. make a bracha or daven. There's a brichas kriya shema. The prima ganim is mesupok, which you follow shema. You say it again, or tefillah, you don't say it again. Ayin base. Dino semita manachmin ma'alavni. I love those who are the pallbearers, and those who are consoling, and those who are accompanying. Aleph, no semita b'chilufim. Those people bearing the stretcher with the dead body, and those people who are supposed to switch them. Chilufei chilufim. Those supposed to switch with the switchers. Beinosim shalim v'ne'amita, whether they're in front of the stretcher, those are behind the stretcher. Osam shamita tzarech lem, those who are required for the stretcher. Go sheyesh chabur no samita, says where's the chevra which chadisha, which bears the bed. V'kulam heim chevra, and they're all part of the chevra chadisha. Ve'im aminay samita, they're part of the designated to bear the stretcher. But turn kriya shema, there's them from shema. Sham lavina sameis she'ein lamita tzarech lem, those are not necessary for the stretcher. Chayavin are required to eat shema. V'havagat avoyes sameis mitzvah, even though that accompanying the dead body to its final resting place is a mitzvah. Become any time kriya shema mipnei zeh. This is not exempt from shema. Yearly, it seems to me, says Arukh HaShulchan, that feel nice semitim, those who carry the stretcher. Im ein bechrer shekulam yisu b'yachad. It's not necessary they all bear together. Elu nosim ve'elu korin. These carry and these read. And then they switch. Come over chaver sakeva shebesim kadem, just like in digging the grave in the previous simon. The Mishnah Berurah writes that even though the later ones have time to read while the earlier ones are carrying, nevertheless the butter, because sometimes they have to chip in, and therefore they shouldn't start saying Shema. So the Mishnah Berurah is much more mako, so to speak, on this. Base. You don't take the mace have to be buried near the time when Kriya Shema is ending, if there's not enough time to bury him and get back into Shema. They did start thinking about aim of seeing they're close, they don't stop in order to reach Shema. Near it seems that Filim Yavor is my Kriya Shema, aim of seeking. Is my Kriya Shema pass, you don't interrupt. Those take a mitzvah, butter and a mitzvah, because now you're involved in the mitzvah, and you don't desist from the mitzvah to do another mitzvah. He was a chashuv, a person, a VIP, allowed to take him out, even though it's adjacent to the time when Kriya Shema will pass. Brachos. Brachos to test. But don't bring down halacha. This is my name, because in our day and age, there's nobody that significant. They should take him out just as Kriya Shema is going to pass. A general principle says the Arukh HaShulchan. Anything which the Gemara talks about Adam Chashuv, if that comes out today to a kula, we don't follow that today. There's a distinction between Zman Kriya Shema morning or night. Something more lenient by nighttime. He says, explains the other I'm going to Avram Steve called the basis in the brackets. After plag, when some shitas are the Yotzei Shema. Yikor Kriya Shema Mekodim Ayin Shom. Read Shema first. Then I mean a Kain, the covering Mekodim, Kain B'chol Laylas Mana, but we don't say if it's after plag before nightfall, because the whole night is its Zman. Mishnah also was Mako by Shel Arvis. I guess because the extended time that you have throughout the entire night. The people involved in the eulogy. When the mace is in front of them, they go away, they turn to go away and to say Shema and to daven Shmona Esrei. Mr. Berurah writes, many posts can argue on this and hold that they were mako for tefillah even if the mace is in front of them. Don't have to actually go away. Because since there's the Rabbanon, you can say you can warn me mako. This is not so much Loi L'Rosh, I'm not sure why. And in terms of the Chazan, if he's also eulogizing, he should certainly be lenient. Not to interrupt, I guess to stay, I guess to daven on the spot, not to leave the cemetery, in order that you shouldn't make you need to be mafsik, the eulogy, in order to daven. Okay, it sounds like a very rare occurrence. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. Kulam le'as, okay, they shouldn't go en masse to say Shema and Tefillah, because they're covered on mace. It's not on for it's not covered up for the mace. The mace is not in front of them, and Kodim Islam, and they should say Shema and Daven. Vonim Yoshim Dom, and the people who own name, they sit quietly. B'tur Kasav, and the two writes the Chazanim Maspidim B'turim. The Chazan is being Maspid is exempt from davening. V'achei Perusho, and this is what Arukh HaShulchan explains. Im Kol HaTzibur Yispalu, or the entire Tzibur daven. After Chazanim Lo Yispalu Dayin, the Chazanim have not yet davened because they're involved in the eulogy. Le'yasichim Le'aspei B'nei Kavod HaTzibur Kavod HaMeis. They should not interrupt that because of Kavod HaTzibur and Kavod HaMeis. This is only on the first day. Yom HaShem Ve'ech HaTzibur is according to the second day after the death. They should interrupt. They buried the dead, and Avela came back to get console. And everybody's following them from the place of the cavern to the place where the Avela will stand. Not so sure to make a roll to accept the consolations. If the nation is able, do one pasuk before they reach the line. They should begin to read as much as they possibly can. If they complete all Shema, you can really finish it. And this is even if they have to read the first Shema while they're walking because of the difficult situation. Even though we know that you're supposed to stop for the first pasuk, you come nevertheless they cover Avelin because of the cover of the Avelin mitzvah of the mitzvah of consolation. They allowed reading even derech hiluch. Arukh HaShulchan says that's nearly. Mishnah says in Bir Halacha from the Ma'amar Mordechai that if it's a little bit distant before the Avel gets there, he can stand by the first pasuk and then be together with the Avel at the same time, quicken his pace, such as that if you can assess that, then walking slightly slower and you can walk slightly faster. So you can take advantage of that distinction and stop for the first pasuk of Shema. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, after the pasuk Rishon, they can't even finish the first pasuk. They shouldn't start. Only if there's time during the day. So later on. The time won't pass. Time will pass. First you read Shema, and then be afterwards. It says it's not clear this thing, and some people hold that even Yavar Azman, you're put from Shema, and we would assume that they should be say Shema first. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, those who are standing in the row, so Menachem to console, the ones who are on the inside, directly opposite the Avel, are exempt from Shema. The ones who are on the outside, they don't face Avel directly. They haven't said Shema. Some people say, also the row which envelops the first row, I guess immediately behind them. It's called those who see the face of and are exempt. All this when they took the mace adjacent to the time of the Shema passing. Or the time already came. You know what? I may have made a mistake this whole time. The Samach Zman Kriya Shema actually means really very early in the morning, not at the end of the Zman, but at the beginning of the Zman. Because that's what it seems to be from Arukh HaShulchan here. Maybe I was wrong. I apologize. Probably I was wrong. Sorry. You should not take out the mace when the Zman Kriya Shema is arriving. Not like I said before. Kamoshi is bar as we explained. The time is already arrived. Close the Baboga is all in the morning. But it's the night time Kriya Shema, there's a lot of time. And when they come back, it's going to become nightfall. Ain't circle is there. They don't have to delay until they can say Shema. Rather, they should read the Shema and daven afterwards. Because they have time the entire night. He says, I think this is actually the minhag. End of 7 iron base.